So good afternoon. Whew, I'm really nervous. Thank you. This morning I was running a little late, and when I walked into the conference room, and the moment I entered, I froze because I knew I was going to come up and speak to all of you this afternoon. And I couldn't believe how packed this room was, so please bear with me. So I really want to just give a shout out to Armando Ortiz. It was such an incredible performance and speech earlier that he gave that is a true testament to why this work is so meaningful. I also want to add that I just finished participating in the first advisory session and with Michelle P. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. And I learned so much from so many different people within the network who have different roles, but was sharing different expertise and knowledge about their experiences. And that was through a World's Cafe activity. And we talked about all the core elements that make up this work, such as building relationships, how to support students and teachers, as well as what it means to be a startup school. But lastly, there was an addition to a group that felt like we needed to talk about, and that was self-care. I never really thought about self-care in that way because we're always putting students first. And so I thought that was very powerful to kind of add that in. And it's actually equally important as the other groups. And so to be honest, outside of work, I had one heck of a year. Sometimes I don't even know where I get the strength to manage it all. So I'm truly grateful to be nominated for this award. Thank you, Big Picture, for your recognition. I would also like to thank Jeff and the entire Fannie Lou school community for their endless support over the years. Many have inspired me along the way to become the advisor and teacher that I am today. I would also like to thank Dana and the Here to Hear peeps, Josh Poyer and Ian, for their active role in engaging advisors with the support they would need to connect students to programming. I also want to acknowledge our CBO, the Children's Aid Society, who also value this work and who also pushed into our advisories time and time and again, offering students to participate in different opportunities. So as you can see, it takes an entire community to coach students academically and socially. This past school year, there were plenty of times I would walk up right to Jeff and Nathan and tell them I was going to quit, literally. Like, I quit. And to me, I knew it came from tackling two worlds, my personal life and my professional work. Of course, they didn't take me seriously because they both knew how passionate I felt about being an advisor as well as a teacher at Fannie Lou. Despite the challenges I was facing, deep down inside, I knew that I would never quit on my students. What good would that do? I was being challenged by taking on a new role, by connecting students to internship sites and figuring out ways to get students to document and reflect on their experiences, as well as bringing in all the advisors into the process. Student engagement looked very different for my advisees and students. And for some, it was just getting them to fill out an application, and for others, it was prepping them for mock calls and interviews, and even writing sample professional emails. But most importantly, the biggest challenge was getting them placed at a site. It was a challenge because although we believe in this idea that learning takes place in and out of the classroom, it also takes a lot of convincing to potential sites and mentors that our students are prepared for the real world, but also encourage our mentors to be open-minded that they are young professionals. And for some, this is their very first experience, and for others, it may be their fifth. So yes, it excites me when students have had a full circle experience, but it also excites me when a student who is nervously trying to avoid tackling a task by simply returning a phone call or going for an interview break out of their shell. Truthfully, and I have mentioned this to my advisees and students before, they inspire me on a daily basis. I am inspired by their creativity and talent, desire to learn, and when faced with new challenges, their ability to overcome them. And we had evidence of that this morning. As an advisor, I am continuously trying to find new ways to engage my advisees intellectually and socially. Having the opportunity to know my students well also inspires me to connect them with new opportunities that relate to their interests, passions, and I would like to add curiosity. For instance, we have had students who grew a new passion for coding by simply participating in a coding program, or that my class clown grew a great interest for gardening. Not just gardening, but also being a part of an organization that helps to feed their community healthier foods. And I think back to one of my students who needed to go to the bathroom every single class, who is now participating in a journalism program this summer. Today, two of my former advisees are here, Nasim, a future politician, and Nicole, an entrepreneur, who I love dearly, and both who are so courageous for not giving up in what they believe in and what they feel they deserve. Through their active participation in various internships, they have had the ability to sharpen their 21st century real-world learning skills, set and work towards personal goals, and build new relationships with their mentors, advisors, and teachers, but most importantly, they have become advocates for student-centered learning. I would like to say to the both of you, we appreciate all of your hard work and support for our school community. As an advisor, this work is so important to me. I'm not only an advisor or just a teacher, I am an advocate for our school's vision and of this model. I am proud to share that Fannie Lou has been around for more than 20 plus years, but the challenges it faces within the community have been pretty much the same over the years. Fannie Lou sits on the corner of one of the poorest congressional districts in the country, and despite the various contextual factors of despite the various contextual factors our students face outside our school walls, many of our students have defied the odds. So even when we are sick and tired of being sick and tired, famously expressed by Ms. Hamer herself, it is our responsibility to provide students with rigorous instruction, teach students to use their minds, and guide them to become active members of their local community. Sounds like a lot to take in, and yes, it is challenging, but with the right support systems and resources, all things are possible. One thing I would like to emphasize is that I see a piece of me in each of my advisees because I too am also a Fannie Lou student, a graduate of 2001. At the time, in 1997, I didn't want to attend Fannie Lou, to be honest. It didn't look like what I thought a high school should look like. It was small, there were only 3 floors, just the complete opposite of what I saw on television or what I had seen all throughout the Bronx with these large traditional high schools. Excuse me. I wanted to go to a traditional school. Yeah, I know, I can't even believe I said that. No offense. Long story short, I tried to transfer to another school only to end up back at Fannie Lou. For whatever that reason, I am thankful that it didn't work out. In the end, as a student, I favored portfolios over testing. In my junior and senior year, my advisor was Nancy Mann, who then later on became the principal of Fannie Lou. My advisor was committed to the school, strong-minded, and incredibly smart. I admired her as an advisor, a teacher, and a school leader. As my advisor, she challenged me as a learner and didn't give up on me when I gave attitude or when I couldn't understand why I had to revise my work again. Never understood why I was chosen to present my portfolio in front of the co-director of the school. And one memory that I do have after I had graduated from Fannie Lou, that I hit a bump in the road as I was finishing my last semester of college. I decided to commute from the city, giving up my dorm room, because I knew it was easier to find a student teaching internship in the city. I was at SUNY Westbury in Long Island. I knew it was a risk because I had nowhere to live, and I had already transferred my job, but I had this desire to seek a career in education. So I packed up all my stuff and headed back to the city, not knowing what to expect. And as I started my student teaching, I found myself lost, confused, and really didn't know what was going on. Things were horribly going wrong, and to top it off, I had eventually quit that job. And now I had no source of income. So when Nancy learned of these experiences, she invited me back to Fannie Lou because she knew who I was and what I stood for. She provided me with the structures and tools that I would need to become a successful teacher. In the end, she trusted me, and I'm utterly grateful for all the opportunities she gave me. Although my first student teaching internship wasn't a match, I didn't give up on the process. As I grew professionally, she would always check in on me as an advisor would do with her advisees. But as a principal, she challenged me as a teacher for sure. She always showed me support in and out of the classroom. I remember coming to her with an idea, and she didn't want you to go around the idea. She kind of wanted you to have a plan. How was I going to execute this idea? Whether it was her listening to my concerns, allowing me to lead, work, or simply being on the side of the road during the 2014 New York City TCS Marathon, giving me water and carrying a sign of encouragement, she always went the extra mile to support me. I always felt this sense of security from Nancy Mann, that she always challenged those who didn't understand our work. So when she was retiring, I took it really hard. Jeff knows this. However, she left the school in good hands. Thank you.